Hi, I'm Allan Scott. I'm here at the Amber event in Amsterdam. I am a serial entrepreneur. I'm a social media guru, although I should never probably be called that. Just someone that's used social media very well over the last 7 years. And I currently travel the world professionally speaking about entrepreneurship, social media, and events. I think it's two things. I think one is recognizing how many failures became successes and realizing that sometimes we win and sometimes we learn. And it's not about failing so much. And when we do fail, not to focus on that failure, but focus on the learnings from that failure. We kind of live in a world right now where we throw out these big buzzwords, fail quick and fail fast. Well, that's great unless you're, in production, in which case failing quick and failing fast is not going to help your business. Learning from failure, realizing that the blame culture shouldn't be connected to failure. Sometimes an idea fails because of the idea, not because of the people behind it. I have a show called The Guest List Podcast. I get to interview CEOs, Fortune 500 companies, blue chip companies, and I ask them, what are the percentage of time do you think the mistake is the team's mistake? And they say 2 to 3%. And I say, great, and how many times do you blame the team? And he said, most of them say, and most of them are he, so I apologize for the sexism, 70 to 80%. Why? Why is this blame culture so connected to the idea of making a mistake? Making a mistake is part of business, part of life. Learn from that mistake. Don't do the same thing again, and you'll definitely move forward. It's important that we all learn that failure is part of business. I think it's rare. It can happen. I think anything's possible. You can catch lightning there's an expression that lightning doesn't strike the same place twice. Well, we've proven that's actually incorrect, that the Statue of Liberty gets hit over 134 times in a big stormy night, the exact same spot. So if that's impossible, then it's almost impossible to say anything is possible or impossible, only probable and improbable. I think the chances of being successful and not failing can happen, but they're scary. Speak to any VC fund or investor fund and they'll tell you they look for people who've made mistakes, because only by making mistakes do you learn, and only by having resilience and learning do you make better businesses and better business decisions. A lot. And you do. And I think the mistake is that we hear about these entrepreneurs and these great stories, like Richard Branson talks about jumping out of a plane and building a parachute on the way down. Well, I think that's a mistake. And I think the new generation understands that. I think the idea is to find out, if you're going to fall, how far are you going to fall? If there's such a risky investment or idea, how do you bring down that risk? How do you make it easier? Warren Buffett says, I don't look for high jump opportunities. I look for hurdles I can step over. How do you make it easier for yourself? Maybe that's having a job and having a side hustle, starting a company on the side. Maybe it's getting friends that you're sharing the responsibility as well as the success and the failure. It's important that you almost look at, how do you leverage everything you do? And understand that you are going to fail on the way. But if you pivot, if you prepare for failure, and you have the right people on your side, you're going to go a lot further than those that never tried and never failed. Test, test, test. Test your idea. Only through execution will you learn what works and what doesn't work. And it's the scariest of all of it. We all know paralysis by analysis. The more we learn, the more we read, the more we find out other people, the scarier we are to make that first move. Make that first move, but create buffers for your failure opportunities. Find ways that it's not that bad, that it's money you would have spent anyway, that it's time you could have spent watching Game of Thrones, but instead you launched a business. Well, guess what? Now you can be on Game of Thrones. You can start your own Game of Thrones. But sometimes as well, it's important to be an apprentice before you be a master, or you apply for a master role. So do the apprentice work. Most greats have worked in some way in a business that they later on started, corrected, disrupted, fixed, or promoted. So be okay being an apprentice. Learn as much as you can while you are, and when you're ready to jump on the side, have a very good, strong safety net. So your network is your net worth. They are incredibly important to your success. We stand on the shoulders of giants. We say this because it's true, because I don't have to go through all the steps and mistakes that Thomas Edison to get a light bulb correct. Now I have to worry about design. I know how a light bulb works. This is important both on your way up and staying up, and if you should slide in the way down. A great investor, entrepreneur, businessman, Mark Cuban said, make friends on the way up, because those are the people you're going to learn from. They say you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Look at who those people are you're spending time with, and see if they're going to help you with your success, with your testing, with your execution, or if they're going to hinder you by telling you you're making the mistakes. You shouldn't be doing that in the first place. Why don't you just get a job? Why don't you not try and do something? Well, I think most of the time that's wrong. Entrepreneurs will change the world. Businesses, small businesses, will change the world. You, being an innovator, will change the world. So surround yourself with people who believe that and can support that vision and dream.